Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at my 2019 Ford Ranger Overland Edition. We're going to be talking about the odds and ends that I've added to this truck over the 2.5 years of ownership, talk a little bit about some things to come, and with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get into the front end of my truck here. It's a bit busy, so let's kind of break it down a bit. Starting off with what's on the hood, this is going to be an AVS Aero bonnet, I believe that's what it's called. Don't quote me on that. I bought this when I first bought the truck. I actually got it free with the Ford Pass points, so can't complain there. All I know is that it looks really nice. I've kept it on since because I think it really completes the look of my front end. This is going to be the Anzo USA full LED projector headlights with sequential turning. Beautiful headlights. I had the halogen stock headlights before, and this is just an absolute game changer. Moving right over, we have the Raptor style Ford grille with the embedded amber lights. Really dig the look of this grille. I think it looks really sweet. I get a lot of compliments on it. And yes, I know it's not a Raptor, but who cares? It looks awesome. Coming over to the front of my bumper here, we're going to talk about my 6 decibel gain antenna. This is hooked up to my Midland radio inside, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. I've always liked that bully bar antenna look, sort of like the Australian look over there. I wish I could put another one right here that's more of like a 3 decibel gain, but I feel like that would be too much overkill. Now we're going to talk about the most notable thing on my truck. So it's actually a Weston Automotive Pro Mod front bumper for the Ford Ranger, and it's been modified to my liking. And what I mean by that is originally it had these wings that were shooting out, sort of like a sheet plate wings on both sides that I just did not like. So I had my buddy Brian over at Metalheads Fabrication cut off the sides. He welded in some Dom tubing, and then he added this really nice bull bar, and that's what you have here. Sort of a hybrid bumper that's been modified from another bumper. It does have the cutouts for the parking sensors. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the side one, so I'm gonna have to have Brian weld up some tabs on the sides, and then I'll be able to utilize my sensors once again. It did come with this 20-inch amber light bar here that's not even wired up. The connection's there, I just don't need it. Honestly, it's just a placeholder because this gap here is just kind of hideous without it, and I do plan on adding a winch down the line, so once I add that, that's gonna go. He also added some tabs for my Squadron Sport Baja design lights here. I do have plans on adding a pair of S1s on both sides to kind of fill in that gap there, but other than that, I'm really happy with how this bumper turned out. It's exactly how I envisioned my hybrid bumper to be. And moving on back now, talking about my new ditch lights. I mean, they're not really ditch lights anymore. If anything, they're supporting my headlights because of how bright these guys are. This is going to be the new Harbor Freight Road Shock Edge 6 LED 3-inch spot and floodlights. So I did wrap these in a yellow vinyl. It's not the best wrap job in the world. I'm definitely going to come back and redo it because it could be better, but for now it works. I really like the aggressive look it gives to my front end of the truck. I think it kind of completes the look altogether. I haven't had a chance to really try these out in a real world situation. The most that these lights I've seen are going to be in my neighborhood at night. But I'm eager to do more night runs, and I can't wait to be in a situation where these guys are going to come in handy. So moving up top, you can see my 42-inch LED light bar. I bought this thing from Amazon for like $100 about 6 years ago, and it's still working. It's still going pretty hard. I do find myself using it at night a lot more. Especially, it does come in handy for recoveries because it's more of a flood, if anything. So when I need a little bit more light up front and don't want to use my headlights that are more of like a long spot, this does come in handy. That's pretty much going to wrap up the front end for the most part. Let's move on down to the wheels and suspension. And take a look at my wheel and tire setups. These are going to be 315/70 72-inch, 35-inch KO2 BF Goodrich tires, all-terrains. Technically speaking, they're about 34.5 inches. For the wheels here, or the rims, or whatever you guys want to call it, these are going to be the Falcon Off-Road T2s in the bronze with I believe it's a negative 7 offset, maybe -5. I don't remember the specs, so I'll have to go back and maybe put it on screen somewhere. Really love this wheel. It definitely has curb rash. It's seen some action. I don't baby my stuff. To me, it's all a tool, and it's a tool to get things done. And then the process, if the tool breaks, you just replace it and get a better one. Let's talk about my suspension a little bit. For the upper control arms, I am rocking the Icon Delta Billet upper control arms with the greasable Zerk fitting to help extend the life of that ball joint. There's not much to say there. The upper control arms, they do the job well. For the coilovers, I'm rocking the Eibach Pro Truck Lift Stage 2 kit, front and rear. I do have the fronts maxed out at about 3 inches, if I'm not mistaken, and I've had no issues with them. They've been successful in all the endeavors that I put this truck through. The only thing is that when I did install the driver's side coilovers about a year and a half ago, it did fail prematurely. The sealant on the shock just ended up bursting, and it ended up leaking hydraulic fluid. But the guys at Eibach were cool, and they sent me over a new set, and I was able to get back on the road again. We're going to talk a little bit about what's up here. Obviously, right in front of me, we're going to have my reboost. And this is great if you're in a situation where you have a very low cell reception service. I'm talking about like maybe 1 bar. This will give you a little bit of a boost, hence the name reboost. Moving up here, I have the 95-liter Roam Adventure Co boxes. These boxes are just amazing in quality and functionality. It holds a lot of gear. In this box specifically, I hold a lot of recovery gear. So stuff like tools, extra sets of lug nuts. I carry a spare alternator, stuff like that. It's just a recovery box and repair box in my personal usage. This box is gonna hold more miscellaneous items like camp lighting, stuff from my rooftop tent, and other odds and ends and bits and pieces. Great boxes. Okay guys, we're gonna go ahead and move to the side of my truck now. Not much going on here. These are my Schrockworks sliders. Sadly, we all know how that company went under, but fortunately, I was able to pick up these sliders off another Ranger who was selling them used. But when I picked them up, it was in pristine condition. And then we have my Ultimate 9 decal here. Shout out to Ultimate 9 USA for sponsoring my rig. They are one of my biggest supporters in my off-roading adventures. And I just want to give a big shout out to Jamie over there in the marketing department for always taking care of me. You guys rock. All right, guys, I just want to talk about what's on the left side of my cap here. Looking at in front of me, we do have my water port. This is the 4-gallon variant, or the 4-gallon version tank. It does hold enough water to last about 2 to 3 days while I'm out camping with my wife and son included. It should be noted that we don't use drinking water in this tank. We do use hose water or faucet water because we use this water for rinsing dishes, washing our clothes, and primarily taking showers and other various things like that. Up top, we do have the Taruka 180-degree awning. It's a great awning, deploys in about 30 seconds and maybe breaks down in about 30 seconds. You can probably get that time down if you're more efficient than I am. It does have 2 LED integrated strip lights in it that provide a warm cool, and just a white cool lighting experience. Okay guys, we went ahead and flipped the truck around, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about the rear end of my truck here. Obviously there's a lot to go through, so once again we're gonna break it down and get through it. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the passenger side of my cap here, the right side here. I do keep my water here. These are the black water Rotopax cans. Yes, they do make them in black now. I wasn't a big fan of the white ones, so I sold those and picked these up instantly, and it just matches the overall aesthetic of my truck, which is sort of like a blacked out look. Right to the left of that, that's gonna be my DMOS shovel. Originally, this was red, but I did end up painting it black to match, again, the aesthetics of my truck. This is a great shovel. It's compact, it's lightweight, yet sturdy. I have had to use it a few times to recover some drivers that were stuck. And then for those of us that go camping a lot and forget to take our bucket, well, this comes in handy for digging a hole. Okay guys, so we're gonna go ahead and move over to the rear end of my truck here. This bumper is gonna be the Coastal Off-Road high clearance rear bumper with the added hoops for protection here. And then I did add the dual or the single swing out here for the spare tire. This bumper does utilize the parking sensors in the rear, which is great. Just make sure you orient them the right way. Otherwise, you'll get like some false readings. Brandon over at Coastal Off-Road has been amazing in aftermarket support for this bumper. One thing you should note though is that this bumper does not come welded or put together or assembled. You have to assemble it yourself. So I did have the guys over at OC Fabrication weld this bumper up for me. If you're interested in picking up one of these bumpers, I do have a discount code you can use at checkout for Coastal Off-Road. You're gonna find that in the description below. Up top, we do have my rooftop tent. This is gonna be the Bushveld 2 from Overland Vehicle Systems. It's a great rooftop tent, and it's been nothing short of amazing for my camping trips with my wife and son. I don't see myself switching this out anytime soon unless something better comes down the line. And again, you know me, I'm a bargain hunter, and I got this for a really good deal. Shout out to the guys at Recon Recovery for setting me up with this tent at a great price. So if you guys are in the market for a rooftop tent, be sure to hit them up. All right guys, moving over to the tail lights of my truck here. These are also going to be from Anzo. They are the full LED light bar sequential lights with the smoked lenses in the black housing, just to match the overall aesthetic of my truck here. And these lights have been great. I've had no issues with them. Looking at the rear end of my truck, on top of my cap here, we have a pair of S2 Baja design lights. These are going to serve as my chase lights. So when you're in snow, fog, or in a dusty environment and you're leading the pack, definitely throw these on, especially if you have a switch controller that features a strobe function to your lighting setups. You can use that as well, in addition to alerting the drivers in your rear of your proximity. You definitely don't want to be rear-ended. That would just ruin the day for everyone. All right guys, so let's talk a little bit about my rear cap here. No, it's not a smart cap, and it's not branded. It's just a generic version of that. So it has all the same bells and whistles as a smart cap, just there's no fancy logo or lettering on it. I did add these handles on the front and rear to be able to access my rooftop tent easier. For this panel and the other panel, I did add a MOLLE plate to be able to mount accessories, which wasn't something that came with the cap originally, so it wasn't an issue. The only thing is I did have to change out the struts for a heavier pound rating to accommodate for the additional weight, so that I can keep this panel open without closing in on itself. Let's go ahead and open the entire thing. So usually my tailgate, when it's on level ground, the swing out will kind of stay in place, which luckily it does. 2 tabs here, which they do lock. Every tab on each panel does have a locking feature, so I don't have to worry about unwanted individuals getting into my bed. And there we go. Obviously, I'm not going to open the other panel because it's hidden from view. On my swing out here, I do have a drop down table, and I primarily use this for my stove and propane. I do have a propane holder here that holds my little propane growler tank from Ignic Outdoors. I used to have a drawer system back here, a deck drawer system, but I ended up getting rid of that because I wanted my space and my bed back, and I'm really happy that I did that. All right guys, we're going to talk about the rear suspension. There's really not a whole lot going on there, so this should be really quick. I am rocking the iBox Pro Truck Stage 2 lift kit, so I do have rear iBox shocks. In addition to that, my leaf springs are from Deaver. They're the heavy duty leaf springs to help me with all this weight that I have in the rear. For my exhaust, I am rocking the over axle dump kit from Carbon Exhaust. It's meant for those who want a little bit more high clearance from their exhaust system because the factory one kind of hangs a bit low. So this one does help if you do intend on rock crawling your Ranger. That's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for watching my video. All the products and gear that I have on my truck that I've mentioned in this video are going to be in the description below. Be sure to say hi in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.